live. We're going to Baltimore. We're listening to Nasty Nesta, the nastiest man in town, but the nicest man in town. He loves his A's. He don't like the moves they're making.
Threw a 1-3 whip, 1-3, 3.70 ERA. Let's say he goes 9-7.
Expecting something different this year, you see.
Let's say he were to do that. 9-7 with a 3.7 ERA. 24 starts, that's a lot of starts. That's a fourth of the starter, right? I mean, it's what you want. And a little mixy would come out of the bullpen and help us out. 130 innings sounds to me like a 5-inning guy, right? 24 starts, 5 innings would be 125 innings, right? So 5 innings every time he goes out, give or take. And holds you in some ball games. That's a fifth starter, right? That profile I gave you for a good team?
Somewhere like that. I mean,
that's Albert Suarez's line this year, just so you know what I just gave you. I just gave you Albert. That's what Albert Suarez did this year. Would that be sufficient for Sagano? And if it is, he's not Corbin.
No, of course. I mean, I've never argued otherwise. I mean, to me, Sagano is a really good acquisition if he's the second starting pitcher you acquired in an offseason. You know, if you acquired two. Because
is Eflin the first or the second? Because Eflin's in the quack. Was he not being like Eflin wasn't here this time last year? You know what I mean? So like,
no, because he was part of my rotation last year.
In your mind, you said that they replaced Bradish with the elbow Burns, and it was a maybe. I mean, I don't know that for sure. I'm just saying the Eflin thing happens as a we got to set. You know, get a lot of money into him. He'll be the one. Like Grayson will be the two.
If they're thinking that, then they are completely. You need another ton. You know, even if it's not Corbin Burns, you need another guy that profiles.
Corbin Burnson played for the Los Angeles lawyers, LA Law. He was a good lawyer. He won all his cases. Aren't he something?
But you could actually argue, go look at his numbers. Kyle Radish had a better ERA than Corbin Burns did last year, 2 years ago. He's hurt. And best case scenario is maybe he's back in August. You know, within the realm of good scenarios as far as him coming back. So
it's very hard to lose Cy Young contender pitchers. And just
you lost another great pitcher.
We never experienced that as a kid in the 70s.
I know, at the same time,
to get a homer, at the same time,
I know, but at the same time, the Texas Rangers had nowhere close to a Corbin Burns, and they won the World Series just 2 years ago, right? I mean, this is why I operate thinking more in terms of the aggregate, right? Thinking in terms of the collective.
The collective.
And what I'm telling you right now is...
And the collective is the Orioles suck.
A number one, number two...
And they had a chance, but it looks like more of the same.
Eflin, Grayson Rodriguez,
but
this unknown pitcher, this hypothetical...
You give him the benefit of the doubt.
You need a guy that fits very well, and I would say I'd want to fit ahead of those guys.
We need a guy.
Ideally. But, Sagano, again, in a vacuum, I like the move. But if that's, if we're going to do the literal, real simplistic...
We have to sign the guys we got then.
That it's a joke, right? I mean, of course it is. So, my point is...
Right, everybody?
And my big picture...
Chime in if they're right.
That I conveyed a few minutes ago that I'll go back to.
We don't want to start out exactly what we got out.
If you're not going to invest a long-term contract in a pitcher, fine. How are you going to go about doing this where your starting rotation is going to be tenable year to year and you're not going to be in a position where you're just draining your farm system over and over and over? Now,
we got a great farm system, though.
People might not like. You know what part of the answer to that could be, which is how the A's have operated, or not the A's, the A's to a point, but they're a weird, whatever they are right now. Let's use the Rays. Let's use the Brewers. Cleveland is another example of this. How have teams like that operated kind of in that universe? They've ended up trading some of their young players once they get closer to free.
No, don't do that. Don't trade any of the young players.
Clear. I don't want this team to be the Rays. I want them to aim higher for that. I absolutely do, and I've said to you over and over and over.
We want a team that's always consistent, long-term. That's what the fans want.
The long-term goal in terms of what the Cardinals have been the last 25 years.
There's bad traffic on the outer loop.
Become a regional franchise, not become. They always are. And again, the Orioles were, and so the Nationals. Sure, and this is where I'll make that argument to Mr. Angels. The only thing he ever said that.
I know, that's fair. The Rays have done a lot better with a lot less. I give you that.
Well, my point is, like, the Cardinals never.
And I'll say another good thing for the Rays.
Never, like, as much as
The Rays deserve all the credit that you're going to give them. Can't argue with you. They're smart,
with all this is,
and they're always good with nothing to work. You know, they don't get a lot of. They're not spending a lot of money.
And I even laid out to you.
No argument.
The rate has declined 4 years in a row.
Yeah, no money. I know. I don't know how they do it. I congratulate
What
them.
you're going to pay for him and understanding what he's probably going to be, even if he
But
stays
another
healthy.
thing about the Rays,
You are paying a premium for him to be an ace.
if they ever talk about the Orioles or try to,
starter after that, and that's still
well, they're not going to now. But at one time they were like throwing out the idea that the Orioles may leave.
100% no, never.
And
Over my dead body. I'm just saying.
if the Orioles left, they would just go down there. I mean, because the Rays
If you're
would.
not re-signing him, how are you pivoting?
They would
And that's
become
where
the
I look at
Baltimore
some of the
Rays. They
deals
would
that
just
have
take
been
it.
made, whether we're talking about, and I'm just using examples here. I'm not
That doesn't
saying
make
these are
sense
the
what I
only
just
choices,
said.
but Nathan Eovaldi got a 3-year, $75
I'm
million
showing myself. I agree with
contract
everything you
for the Rangers
say.
2 years ago. I'll give you one that I think was a really interesting play.
You're the type of team that we got. I think the Orioles should copy.
If he's going to be good, but he could be good in the upside.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If the Orioles.
I thought the Red Sox signing Walker Buehler to a 1-year deal.
Yeah, I got the porn mustache. 70s porn guy mustache, yes.
Fascinating deal. He was coming back from Tommy John this past year, had a bad regular season. But we all saw how he pitched for the Dodgers in October. And you're wondering.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Rays go to Nashville.
The second Tommy John surgery, if he is.
And the Orioles.
The Red Sox are going to love that.
They're.
To me, if you're the Orioles, you've got to.
I mean, if the Orioles left, this is what I'm trying to say. If the Orioles somehow, for some reason, left here, yeah, the Rays would come up to Camden Yards in 10 seconds.
They draft college hitters mostly.
Because the ballpark is the greatest ballpark.
Just look at the All-Stars that they sent last year. That's why they're winning. Gunnar Henderson, homegrown. Adley Rutschman, homegrown. Jordan Westburg. And Henderson and Westburg were not top 5 overall picks either. So they've shown.
No, I think so, friend. Or somebody would immediately take Camden Yards because it's so beautiful.
And you've deemed drafting pitchers early to not be the best way to go about building your organization from a player development standpoint and a farm system standpoint. And look, if you remember way back when, they traded Dylan Bundy. It's one of the earlier moves that Mike Elias made. They traded Dylan Bundy.
But we have a new owner, and it was supposed to be a new era. I don't know who your team owner is, but if you got a new owner, all of a sudden you would expect it's going to be things done differently.
Operated, and you say, is this going to be a sustainable way to either get over the hump and put yourself in a position?
But it's going to be sad if it's just we find out. No, we just.
Even if you're putting that part of the argument.
Angelos.
Are you going to be able to maintain
traded out
pipeline over the next 7, 8, 9, 10 years doing it this way, understanding that the plan is not going to be to be drafting in the top 5 like you were for 2019, 20, 21. 20.
Yeah, that's what I mean about a strategy. What does this look like in Mike Elias's perfect mind and Katie Griggs' perfect mind for the next 3 to 5 years for what's going to happen with the television network, where the revenue's going, what the sales team's going to need to do, and what the real commitment of ownership, because it's their money, and it's that's why we didn't really want to give it to her. It's not my money. I'm not doing that. It's a billionaire who bought the team, who said he was serious about winning. You need to put more money in than the 10,000 empty seats are producing right now. And you need to be better at building to get the 10,000 seats from empty to full. And I've been here 40 years. Katie Griggs, you're doing a really lousy job so far. I'm just giving 90 days into this. I'm judging it saying nothing looks like it changed. You know why? It's not. It's your fan base. Your fan base is saying that on my Facebook page. So this continues to be an issue with the Angelos thing. And I was their complaint department for 20 years. They just thought I was a dick. No, I opened phone calls, and your customers, the people who love the baseball team, would call me and say, hey, Nasty, why? And then I turn to them, and there's no one to ask. of that. And that's the Stockholm syndrome I talk about, where the fan base here, the expectations are so low. In even just communicating, being
Stockholm.
and that makes me want to buy a Birdland membership and come down and be a part of it, because I feel like I'm a part of things.
Stockholm
I want fans
syndrome.
to feel a part of things. Make them a part of things. Pretend, lie, do what everybody else does, but be front-facing, be communicative at all times. That's all. You know, and I find that is across the board. It's the hardest thing in life, you know, finding people who are accountable when they lose, or when they don't win, or when they're disappointed, or when things don't go their way. And that to me was what the organization, it felt this weekend like we're going to hide. We didn't get Burns, we're just not going to say anything. We'll tell them we spent more money. That's Angelo. That's the Angelo style of, that's the Greg Bader style. That's the old style of communication. If that's the way you want to continue to communicate, you'll have 10,000 empty seats. You'll have pissed off fans until such point where you do go get Dylan Cease or Scrooble, or get somebody that looks like it's not the truth.
We got to get somebody in here.
Get somebody that Luke and I are on Monday saying, whoa, they improved the team.
I thought they were going to get
we're
somebody.
Not that hard to please. Our bar's not that high. We're not.
You can spend some money.
I wasn't really expecting a $210 million pitcher, but I don't expect excuses when you don't get him either. I expect a pitcher. I expect the 200 innings.
I wanted 100. I wanted to pay $50 million for Oinada, or whatever the guy's name.
That's how you're going to win 98 games next year. Like, if you don't have that, we're baseball people. We know better than Chase, whatever his name was, that they brought up here at the end of the year, and these guys that are plotting pitchers.
These guys plotting pitchers.
And we already have. Dude, you and I have done 45 minutes. We haven't talked about the bullpen.
The bullpen is in big trouble.
In March, and April, and May, because the bullpen was what you were more concerned about.
They are going to have Felix Bautista back. I mean, let's not
what
just.
What version of that, though?
Oh, but a version who had well over a year to rehab from Tommy John surgery.
He had surgery last time.
Bautista will be back.
So, no, I hear everything you're saying, and look, I would even push back a little bit in the kind of communication. To me, it's not even so much.
Who's on here? Who loves Orioles? Who's watching the Beltway? Come on, everybody. Jump on here. Jump on live. Like and subscribe. Come on, everybody. Get on here. Like and subscribe on a Monday morning. Afternoon. It's really beautiful out here. It's still the old year before you have to do stupid New Year shit. Get on here and talk Orioles.
You've got Gunnar Henderson,
Gunnar Henderson, outstanding.
Top 5 player in the sport.
He's going to be one of the greats.
That's the kind of talent we're talking about. You have Adley Rutschman.
Adley Rutschman.
Assuming the last 3 months of this
Nobody's better.
Was outlier and not like that. This guy's washed up. And
no, he's not washed up.
Or anything like that.
He's best in the league.
He's a top 50 player in the sport if he's right. You know, so the cupboard's not bare here, even with.
The cupboard's not bare.
As far as the top of their starting rotation.
Look at all this traffic, people. You don't want to know about this traffic? Nobody wants to see this damn traffic? Look.
You've got to augment.
Look at the traffic in Baltimore.
I remember talking to you about this.
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. I'm going to the hospital. I'm going to the Greater Baltimore Medical Center. Like and subscribe. Oh, yeah, baby. The emergency room.
They tried to be good, you know.
We're gonna like and subscribe this, man.
But you get to a point where you've done this building.
Look at the other side.
System, and you have all this young core at the major league.
You have this young core.
Success, and you've had success.
You've had success, and you've had failure. Mostly failure lately in this century.
Winning in the playoffs, but you've gotten there.
You've gotten there.
Part of this. Get in the tournament.
We'll get in the tournament. We want to make some noise in the tournament.
How do you start turning up the dial in terms of augmenting?
We want to augment. That's what we want to do.
You know, all the other ways that you get better other than just
we want to augment.
Developing. And that's where I still look at this thing and say, what exactly is this going to be? And again, if you asked me on October 3rd, Luke, do you think Corbin Burns is going to be back? I would have said no, and I would have said that with a lot of confidence. But my issue is, if you truly were in on him, and if we're to believe
that they were.
I don't believe they were.
As I said to you, even going back several weeks ago, you know, it was my understanding that, you know, they weren't giving up all hope, or they weren't even trying to get Burns. But you needed, if this is at face value, that he wanted to be in Arizona, wanted to be on the West Coast, and, you know, so many people had said that even before he signed with the Diamondbacks. You need to be able to
look at these cars running around, man. They don't care about the traffic.
He doesn't love Baltimore. And look, that happens. That's not exclusive to Baltimore. That's, you know, there are guys that sign with teams for a variety of reasons. However, as an organization, as a general manager, if you're Mike Elias, you've got to have the wherewithal to recognize that if, you know, short of us giving Corbin $300 million, he's not signing with us.
Who's on here? Sound out. Who likes the Orioles? Who likes Baltimore? Who likes car traffic? Who likes the Greater Baltimore Medical Center? Yay! We're going to the emergency room. Yay!
Pivot and recognize.
If I say emergency, you say room. Emergency.
I just named just a couple.
Okay, you're not getting it.
There are a number of
emergency.
Guys that have gone out and signed at this point. That
okay, chat room. If I say emergency, you say room. Emergency.
But probably would have more upside and would you know, even reinvigorate your fan base a little bit more, I suppose. You know, although
yes, it would. It would invigorate me. I can tell you that.
You know, that is what it is, and I'm not going to tell anyone how to feel. But
don't tell me how to feel.
Look at this, and again, 3 months until they play a game, and you and I could be recording a segment 3 days from now talking about the fact that they traded for Dylan Cease, or they traded for Luis Castillo, or someone of that ilk that would have.
That was the kind of thing that the Angelos clan did back in 94, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know, like they created this off-season of gifts to the fans that made it feel like Orioles.
No, I was also a guy from down south, Dan Snyder. That's what he did.
It feels to me, as a guy who's been doing this, and I'm 56 years old and fought with Angelos still onto his deathbed, I'm watching it holistically from the outside. I spent 3 hours 6 weeks ago going over and seeing Mr. Rubenstein give a speech. I have given it, and you know this, I am open-hearted about all of this. I was open-hearted on opening day when I was out there talking to Chris Ullman about getting my press credential back. But not a lot has fundamentally changed. And every time I would talk to you off the air, on the air, when I talked to people like John Maroon 2 weeks ago on the air, like Marty Conway, and you people have done a really poor job of thinking a couple of TV commercials in the middle of your games was going to give everybody the idea that Willy Wonka's here and the things are really different. Because it really doesn't feel fundamentally different at all. And the 10,000 empty seats as the last act of the fan base, literally the last act of the fan base was to stay away. A playoff game. The playoff game. We don't play playoff games here. Everybody's waiting for the Delvin Young moment until it's $10 and they're, well,
a lot of people don't like to go to early playoff games because they know that they'll be. They don't want to watch them lose, and then if they win, there'll be more.
Trying to blow air into that Zeppelin and trying to get it to fly and fly the right way.
Fly the Zeppelin.
1,000 empty seats. Fly in the way that Corbin Burns might want to be here.
Corbin Burns.
You know what I mean? Like fly in a way where you're like, well, he just be like sunshine. He like. People signed in Boston. It was cold there. People signed in Toronto. People signed in all sorts of places. Like. At some point, you're going to move the fence in, move the fence out. You've got a great lineup. It's not like Corbin Burns wouldn't have the confidence to win here.
Come on and watch us. Watch us go to the Greater Baltimore Medical Center, the greatest hospital for medical in the history. The emergency room. I'll say emergency, you say room. Emergency.
Wife left town.
Okay, you're not all doing it in the chat room. So I'll say emergency, you say room. Emergency.
I disagree with that mindset that you can't replace him. That you can't have that mindset. You just can't. Because what happens if he has a sore elbow the last week of February? He wasn't very good.
We are going. The Ravens are going. The Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl, and the Orioles are going to win the World Series.
For me, this wasn't Corbin Burns or bust. It's you got to like either you're going to sign him, but if you feel like you can't do it, and you feel like he's not really all that hot and bothered coming to Baltimore unless you're going to give him $50 million extra than anyone else will, that's fine. Then you need to pivot. You need to make
The old
sure.
way they would do
You
this,
need
they
to
would
pivot out.
sign Mike DeJean and
You got to sign Mike
other
DeJean.
guys.
Right.
And they would go sign 3 bullpen guys.
3
for
bullpen
each
guys.
And,
Right, and I do wanna-
hey, we made the bullpen better. We're just going to figure it out with Suarez.
Well, that's kind of what they kind of did that with Craig Kimbrell this past year. Right?
Craig
I mean,
Kimbrell.
Guys like me were kind of telling you, I don't. You know, I said all along,
You didn't buy that.
I bought it, but I told you all along, I didn't love it, thinking that you're gonna, you know, I wasn't expecting that they were gonna get the Craig Kimbrell of 2016 was my point, and that proved to be correct. And you know, anyone who followed them the last 5-6 years knew that. So there's a situation where they threw money at a problem and it didn't, right? I mean, gave him good
Throw money at a problem and it'll
one thing
work.
I do want to point out, and again, this is where
That's always the
me,
best thing.
so much of what you're talking about here, as far as selling what you have in terms of being
We
more
are
visible,
going
bring
to
back
GBMC Medical Center.
good ideas that you can think about.
La la la.
Good ideas or bad ideas in the past.
Good ideas, bad
Right
ideas.
now, they're allowed.
I mean, they're going to own the city. I mean, every NFL team that's in the playoffs right now.
Real estate, though. Get yourself a headline.
I
Get yourself a
understand
player.
that, but you know, it's the NFL. We need to